how much time do we have? Man, I tell you when I started out this, and when you first came to me, we were having this conversation about what we're going to talk about here. I was like, man, I'm living the new guy life. So I've had to, since leaving the military, I went to business school and I was a new guy there. You know, I'm showing up, one of the rare people that don't have any business background. So I have no disciplinary experience in anything, right? So I'm doing all this stuff. I'm showing up with a notepad.
Other than blowing shit up and machine gunning people.
How does my experience as a breacher work in the boardroom here? But yeah, so I mean, I had to do all these things. I had to ask for help. They give you all these modules to teach yourself advanced math and like pre-calculus stuff, like all this. It's like overboard stuff. But I dug into all that and it just continued. It's like, and once, we had our sights on Hooli, okay, how do I do the job, of a CEO? How do I do the job? How do we launch this thing? How do we market it? Suddenly I'm a sales guy. I'm cutting videos. I'm doing design shit. I'm doing accounting. It's like you're wearing all these damn hats and no one's hand holding you to do this. So it's either, you have the cash. If you're fortunate enough as a startup to have the cash, you can hire all this talent and you can handle those things. That's great. But if not, you're going to have to figure it out. And
yeah, but for everyone else,
for everyone else, get on that YouTube, start checking out tutorials, reach within your network and get smart. And I've been doing that. And, that's worked out really well to this point. Each day I just try to get a little bit better, try to get Hooli, just in a little bit better footing, more efficient, try to learn from our customers and all that. And, and also it's the same methodology. This shit just, it translates to life and how I've applied myself to golf in general. So golf is insanely hard and you got to be eager to learn. You got to dig in there. You got to figure out there's, just a lot of parts of the golf swing that take a lot of time to work through, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of instruction, a lot of nerding out. But, if you want to get better at anything in life, golf, business, being a good team guy, you got to be eager to learn and you got to put in the work, man. That's it.
All right. So be teachable, be eager to learn. What's next?
The hard way is usually the right way. Mm-hmm. And closely related is do it right or do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's always that temptation, right? There's always a shortcut that you think you're going to get away with. It's always there. Luckily, you got BTF Tony. BTF Tony's not doing it the easy way.
No, I mean,
shortcut.
He's what comes to my mind. Like immediately, whenever I saw that, I was like, oh, that's Tony. I mean, the things that he instilled, I remember doing planning stuff for training and operations, and just watching him, plan and talk about infill, and his thing was always we got to do the hardest way is generally the best, because generally the enemy's not expecting you to come through that shitty muddy bog. That sucks, but tactically it's putting you in much better footing.
Yeah, I guess I learned this not necessarily the hard way, but doing the right thing at the right time.
That's it.
And I was working. We were doing hydrographic reconnaissance for the Marine Corps. I was in an ARG platoon off the coast of Southern California. We went out in the middle of the night and did like the 5-hour freaking hydrographic reconnaissance in a big sea state. It was a total nightmare. We get all of our soundings. We do the freaking stuff. We gather our slates back up. We drive back out to the big ship. The cartographer, which is the guy that makes the charts, Echo Charles, the two cartographers take all the information. They build the little map or the little chart, turn it over to the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps then comes, we go back in the water, go back in the boats, back in the water. We go on the beach. We call in the Marines. The Marines come in. It's now been, 48 hours of being awake and freaking being freezing cold and swimming and all this shit. And the Marines come in and they land and they get on the shore. And the colonel in charge of the Marines is like, that was not good. We're doing it again. go back to the boats. So all the Marines turn around, they go back to the boats. We go back to the boats. We get on the boats. They're like, hey, the Marines did not like the landing. They want to do it again. They want to do the whole thing again, starting with your hydrographic reconnaissance. We're like, okay. So we all freaking load the boats again, get our wetsuits on, drive over the horizon with our little boats, 3-hour transit, whatever. Get our boat pool set up, and we're getting ready to get in the water to do a hydrographic reconnaissance that we had just done 36 hours before. So it's not like the beach had changed. And we're all freezing, and we're all tired, and it's still a big, giant, crappy sea state, and we're in our boat pool, and we're about to get in the water, and someone says to our platoon commander, who was a prior enlisted freaking stud and one of the best guys ever, someone goes, are we going to do this thing again? And thank God it wasn't me. But someone said, are we going to do this thing again? And our OIC said, well, we don't have to. But would that be the right thing to do? And it was all quiet just like that. And we said, get in the water, swim her in. And it's so true. Just you gotta do the right thing. And no, Marines never would have known. The big Navy never would have known. We could have turned in the same chart that we had made the night before, but it would not have been the right thing to do. And that is the true frogman is not looking to cut those corners. And the only reason we didn't want to go is cold, wet, tired, right?
Yep.
That's where you go through buds, because cold, wet, and tired is just part of life. And that's how you do your job. So shut up and get in the water.
Yeah, sometimes you got those demons though that are chirping at you, right?
Oh, the weakness.
Maybe we can just skip this one.
Yeah, it's always that little weakness is in there, and especially from a leadership perspective, it's
yep.
You better do the right thing. You better do it the hard way. The hard way is usually the right. Hey, not always. Yep. It's not like you do something hard just because it's hard. If there's a better way to do it, there's a smarter way. Cool, we're all about that. But if it's the right thing to do the right thing. Good one. All right, what next?
Don't make the same mistake twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so. There's a lot of. I almost say a lot. I mean, you're expected to make mistakes as a new guy,
mm-hmm.
and obviously we're going to make mistakes throughout our lives and careers and all that. But there's a way. There's a way to handle these mistakes, and it's very important, particularly in the teams. As a new guy, and you got to own it. You got to own the shit out of it. Because if there's any resistance, and it's clear that you're not taking ownership, you're not learning your lesson, you're going to suffer. And again, this applies to everything else. It's just, you guys talk about ownership all the time, and that's what this is. It's owning up to your mistakes, and then most importantly, the debrief. What did I do wrong? How do I avoid it again? And then, doing the remediation or whatever that is to make sure it never happens again.
Mm-hmm. The escalation between your first mistake and your second mistake of the same thing in the teams is a lot. You make a mistake, it's hey dude, here's what you did wrong. Make sure you don't do that again. And like you said, it's kind of expected. If you make that same mistake again, it escalates quickly because now you're just being dumb. I was on a trip back in the day, and I was in training cell with a couple of the guys, and we were advon to a certain area, and it was an area where there was bars and clubs and nightlife, as they say, Echo Charles. Yeah. So, I was a young single team guy and was with some of the boys, and there was a master chief, a Vietnam master chief that worked in this particular area, and he was, a Vietnam master chief. And so we go out, and one of the guys got into a fight, and he kind of scraped up his knuckles. And the next day we're at work, and it was not a huge town, so word travels around, and of course the SEAL master chiefs kind of know some of the law enforcement or whatever. But anyways, we show up to work the next day, and this buddy of mine has scratched, bruised knuckles, right, from cracking somebody. And the master chief's like, hey, he's one of those master chiefs. He's like, hey, what happened to your hand? And the dude's like, oh, I think I fell down the stairs or something stupid like that. And the Master Chief looked at him and goes, I've been in that team for 28 years. What happened to your hand? And he's like, I punched someone in the face. It's like totally good to go. Like, just tell the truth, own it, or things are going to get worse.